Welcome back, Shalligators. You guys like my new Christmassy setup? I'm excited for you to see the other one. Okay, today we are going to talk about Kendall Jenner making the 30 under 30 Forbes list, which is basically a list of people who've made a lot of money. Cool. Kendall Jenner, we're like, okay, yeah, I could see why Kylie's on there. I could see why Kim got the cover of whatever. She's like a billionaire now. Kendall, what does Kendall do? She models, okay? Is that new? It's her tequila line, 818. I kind of forget that it exists. Do you? Or are you like, oh no, when I think of tequila, I think of Kendall Jenner. The way when I think of shapewear, I think of Kim. Or when I think of like lip stuff, I think of Kylie. Or when I think of whatever the fuck Courtney does, having kids she doesn't really enjoy. Okay, anyway. Kendall, tequila? We're gonna talk about this, and we're not just gonna trash her tequila because, like, whatever, good for her. Make all the tequila you want. I don't drink it, and I wanna know if you guys do. But I wanna talk about pivoting your career, because going from modeling to having a spirits brand is a pretty big leap. It's different. I mean, it is and it isn't. For a normal person, it is. For somebody who's already a celebrity like Kendall and who has all the money and who's already in the public eye with a built-in audience to promote something, not as much, but it is still a big pivot. And we know this for the very fact that we're talking about it, right? Because it seems so not expected from someone like her. I didn't even know she drank tequila. Like, it's just not part of like the consciousness. I understand Kim is like all about her Spanx. Kylie obviously is obsessed with overlining her lips and looking bizarre with makeup. But it's like, oh, tequila. I mean, sure, if you say so, whatever, girl, I don't care. So in a way, in a backwards kind of way, I think it's actually more impressive that Kendall has launched this line because no one really saw it coming. It's a really big shift for her. And I think it was a bit of an uphill battle. So we're gonna use a little bit of, Kendall's playbook and some studies from psychologists that I am going to be referencing to talk about how and when and why to pivot your career, because there's actually somebody else who's done that. It's me. I'm the problem. It's me. I pivoted my career quite a few times. Did you guys know I started my career right after college in finance? I know. I was horrible at it. I am bad at that. But I finally found my lane like in my 30s. You know, it's not something that has to happen. Like, your perfect career might not be something you find for a little while. We're going to talk about all of that. But before we do, a quick word from today's very sexy sponsor. Shalligators, in addition to, I don't know, the souls of young men, one thing I love to collect is lingerie. And one of my favorite brands is probably one of your favorite brands too, Parade. It's the Gen Z favorite. It's sustainable. It is affordable. It is so well made and offers amazing support. And it's a great place to go for basics. You can get amazing bralettes, underwear, sleep items, but I use it for things that are a little less than basic. I'm not a real basics girl, so I want to show you some of the stuff I've gotten recently from Parade that I think you might love too. This little bodysuit is from their new mesh collection, and I paired it with a really adorable bralette corset long line top. It goes right over your head, and you could seriously wear this with just about anything. Let me show you some other stuff I got. Oh yeah, is this a satin bralette? It is. It has just enough push-up to give you a little va-va-va-boom, but there's no wires. I don't do wires, no. But I do a practical item, a leather harness. I'm almost positive it's supposed to be worn like this, but check out one of my absolute favorite looks. Look at this toile, corset, and these fluttery little shorts. It's one of those things that I put on and I pair with like a big fluffy cardigan and Uggs, so when a boy comes over, I was like, what? This is just like my sleep outfit. Just my sleep corset. Maybe you should take it off of me. So listen, if you want some basics, Parade has got you. If you want things that are a little bit less than basic, Parade has got you too. And Cyber Monday sales are here. The public is going to save 30% site-wide, but you, with my special code, girl, you're gonna save 50%. So remember, my code is giving you the highest discount around. You can't get that anywhere else. And I don't know that you can get something like this either. We're back. So I'm going to give you, let me see, 5 questions to ask yourself about pivoting your career. But let's talk Kendall first. Yeah, 818 tequila. Do you guys drink this? I never do. I don't even see it on the shelves where I like go out, you know? And if I do drink tequila, which I really like, I love tequila, I'll go Casamigos, or if I'm taking a tequila shot, Milagros is literally the best. Do you know Jeff Bezos drinks Milagros tequila? The man can have anything, I feel like. And he's got like a Latin girlfriend, like Lauren Sanchez. Like, is she into tequila? Am I just being racist? I don't know. It's a positive racial prejudice. It's like, she seems like she knows her tequila brand, whatever. Don't come for me. I don't care. Okay. So Kendall's, on the 30 under 30 list. And one of the things that they asked her was, didn't you think this was maybe a risky endeavor considering the tequila market, especially with celebrity imprints, is oversaturated? And she's like, yeah, I mean, I knew that was a risk, but it kind of just made me want to be better. Now, it is debatable whether or not her tequila is better or whether she just has a bigger audience than anyone else who's promoting their tequila lines. Like, did you know The Rock has one? And same with Marky Mark. If you put a gun to my head, I couldn't tell you what it's called. Rockin' Shots or tequilas, I don't know. But they have a tequila line. And of course, Casamigos, George Clooney, whatever. And Forbes claims that last year their sales for 818 were $25 million. Really? I just don't, like, who, from who? Do you as an individual buy it? And when you go out, do you order it? I mean, yeah, it's on social media, but there's a lot of things that are like cloudy that aren't actually selling. I don't really understand the conversion. Does she have conversion? I don't know. But okay. But listen, I think again that is proof positive how hard it is to start over in your career, even when you do have Kendall Jenner's clout. And her clout can sometimes work against her. Everyone knows her as the model, the reality star, just the pretty face, whatever. So for her to pivot to this tequila thing, people are like, it's not like she's just a random coming out of the woodwork and peddling it around to stores. She has, if anything, maybe you could say a disadvantage from a reputational standpoint, because like we said, I didn't even know she drank. I don't know anything about this woman whatsoever. And I say this about Kylie. It's like, I knew Kylie wore a lot of makeup because she's made up like a drag queen all the time. But Kendall, she just like, when I picture Kendall, it's, yeah. Well, I don't know. With her like man voice, I'm like, what does she enjoy? The answer seems to be nothing. The answer seems to be she enjoys nothing. Her cars and horses. So if she came up with like an equestrian line, I'd be like, oh, okay, this like, yeah, that tracks. I don't know, man. But good for her. Good for her. Personally, I'm just glad she's doing something. Like, I've always really respected Kim because she's got one business after the next. And even Kylie, like, I don't buy Kylie products because why the fuck would I? But I appreciate that she's at least trying. You know, she's doing something with her platform. As we know, it would be better if they did something additionally to, I don't know, benefit the world around them, a canned food drive, a fundraiser, literally fucking anything. And can we also just touch back to the fact that whatever happened to Kim's law degree? That plot thread kind of just, fizzled out, right? Last we heard was she passed the baby bar. That's not the bar. It's a test. It's a practice test. That's not the bar. And we never heard one word about it again. Can you guess why? Because she didn't pass the bar. She didn't pass it. So good for her for even trying and getting down the rabbit hole. But I do think it's interesting that, no one ever heard anything more about that. So let's get into some advice here. Kendall said something very interesting in her interview with Forbes that kind of stuck with me. She's like, modeling is great, but when you're modeling, you're part of someone else's vision. And this, the tequila line, is like my baby, my vision. Now, this might seem on its face not very relatable. It's like, I am neither a model nor do I have a tequila line, but I bet you do understand what it's like to be working your ass off, making someone else rich. To have all of your skills and your experience sort of cannibalized and used for someone else's idea of a company or a brand or a store or whatever it is. Maybe even in your family, maybe in your relationships and your friendships, right? Ooh, now does this start to sound familiar? Yeah. And when we feel that way, what do we all want to do? We want to create something for ourselves. But it's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. Like I said, I've pivoted careers a few times. It's scary. And I swear the only way that I was able to do it is because I didn't know what I didn't know. Like I just jumped in. I don't necessarily recommend this strategy, but for me, it kind of just worked out. So yeah, I started my career right after college. My very first job was in finance. Well, my very, very first job was a waitress. I quit finance to go back to waiting tables because I hated it that much. And then I got into journalism. I moved to New York and was a writer. I wrote books. You guys know I was a magazine journalist forever. And then, hello, here we are. I'm a YouTuber. And this career keeps evolving. And I don't think this will be my last career. As I get older and the landscape changes, I'm going to have to pivot to something else. I'm not going to be like mining coal. It's going to be something in this space, but the messaging will change. The platforms might change. This is just kind of the new landscape of where I'm at. So when I'm going to give you this advice, please understand that I get it. I get it. Like, I'm not sitting here on my high horse, like, just leave your job. Honey, I know it's not easy. But there are 5 questions I want you to ask yourself if you're thinking about changing your career. So did you know that out of 26,000 surveyed Americans, Yahoo Finance did a survey, 60% of those 26,000 people said that if they could start their careers completely over again, 60% would choose a different career. That's a lot. It's interesting that that's almost the same percentage of people who get divorced. I wonder if the decisions we make about our careers are similar to the decisions we make about our love lives, in that it's what sometimes we think we're expected to do. We're supposed to do this. This is how our family did it. This is what our family wants. This is what everyone says is good and stable and safe for me, right? No career that I've ever had, no business endeavor I've ever taken has ever one time in my life been considered safe, except for the finance job. Except for the finance job. And it was the one I hated the most, and I was fucking terrible at it. So it just goes to show that safety is a very relative term. I have never felt so unsafe in a career as I did in finance, where everyone else around me was fucking crushing it and I was sinking like a stone because I'm bad at it and I hated it. Safety is subjective. What's right, what's a good path, is also very subjective. So here's the first question I want you to ask yourself. You ready for this? What do you value? What do you value? Now, your answer might be, well, of course, I value money. Hello, that's why I have a job. Okay, is that the only thing you value? If it is, I've got 2 career paths for you. Be a stripper or be a drug dealer, because they make a lot of money. What you said, all you care about is money, right? Oh, then go be an assassin. Go run a drug cartel. Go be a dictator, a warlord. If all you care about is making money, sweetheart, the path is for you. There are plenty of paths out there. But I have a feeling you care about things more than just money. I have a feeling you might care about, I don't know, being creative, feeling self-actualized, feeling like you're doing some sort of good in the world. So look at the career you're in now. If you are someone who values doing good in the world and changing the world, are you in an industry that values return on investment, like finance, like things where it's like production? We don't give a fuck what's going on with the water system outside this factory. We don't give a fuck if this is helping people or bankrupting them. We don't fucking care. It's us, us, us. There's definitely a place for people who are like that, but maybe that place isn't you. And what if it's the opposite? What if you're like, you know what? I love doing good in the world, but hey, I can volunteer in my off time. I want to make some money. I want to do good for myself. Okay, then maybe being a nurse isn't for you. Maybe doing something that's a little lower level, working in something creative, isn't really going to scratch that itch for you. So ask yourself, what do you value? And please understand that there's no wrong answer to this. There isn't. And also try to answer this question, and all of these questions actually, in a vacuum, without the specter of your family and the values you have been taught to have. We've been talking a lot in the Shallontrage lately. It's our little community on the internet, and I do a whole bunch of videos a week, and there's like group chats. There's 17 group chats, so I'm on them all the time. I love it. But we've been talking a lot about morals versus ethics. Morals are something that comes from inside, your moral compass, and that is oriented to you and nobody but you. Ethics are created by society. It is unethical to give someone a mortgage that they're not going to be able to afford in 3 years, and they're going to end up homeless. That's unethical, okay? You're like, oh, well, all right, society says I shouldn't do this. Morally, I don't give a fuck. I don't have a problem with it. I'm taking the money and run. If they can't do the math, that's on them. I say this because I want you to look at the morals versus ethics of your career. And this goes back to, what do other people have to say about what's good for your life? I mean, with respect, fuck them. Maybe fuck them. Maybe the guidance that they're giving you makes a lot of sense. But you have to contrast that and line it up against what you feel inside. Again, everything I've done in my career is considered risky. Like writing a book at 23, working my way up in magazine journalism when I didn't know anybody, and I started as an intern and I ended up as the editor-in-chief. Hello, becoming an influencer when everyone wants to be an influencer. You think you're gonna make it? Yeah, I do. I'm delusional. I'm delusional partly because I'm a sociopath and a narcissist. And so I just truly believe things are gonna work out for me. They're just gonna work out. I also, though, I fuse my delusion with a lot of hard work and ruthlessness. I don't just work hard, I work smart. I will step over anybody that I need to. I will lie to get what I want. I will take credit for things if I have to. I will seize power if there is an opening. I will do things that other people won't. And I always have been. And so ethically, oh, well, that's not bad. I could give a fuck because my moral compass points in a different direction. And the only person I have to satisfy in this world is me. I get that my coworkers might not like it. My family might not even like it. I don't care. None of these people are paying my bills. I am. And even if they were paying my bills, I have to make myself happy. And so I say this because when you're considering, what do you value? What do you value? In that vacuum, independent of what people are telling you, you should value this. You know what? If you don't value giving back to the world, that's fine. There's plenty of people who do. It's taken care of. It's fine. Okay. If you don't value making a ton of money, I don't understand that personally, but good for you. Good for you. You know, there's people like me out there. It's like, no. We value money over almost anything. We got it. Don't pretend. If you're not into that, don't pretend. Question number 2 to ask. What are you good at? But what do you like to do? We are good at things we don't actually like to do. And if you grew up in like maybe a first generation household, like you're the daughter or son of immigrants, you might have been pushed into things you are good at, but you don't necessarily like to do. Math, sciences, law, medicine, engineering. And it's like, no, I can do this. I am good at math, but I fucking hate it. I'm trying to think of what I'm good at that I don't like. Okay, here's another little life tip. When I was young, I heard a quote from Paris Hilton that greatly shaped who I was. She said, if someone asks you to do something that you don't want to do a really bad job so they never ask you again. Yes. This has been something of a North Star for me because if I don't like to do something, I let that skill set completely atrophy. Completely. I don't like math and I'm not good at it. So I refuse to do anything mathematical. I don't like putting together furniture. So I refuse to do it. I could learn and I could orient my brain better about that. And I'm sure it would like ward off dimension, all this shit. I don't care. I don't want to do it. So I don't. If there's something I don't like to do, I won't do it. And I certainly would never in a million years pretend to be good at it. Because, like Paris says, people are going to keep asking you to do it. No, baloney for the birds. So for me, what I like to do is inherently what I'm good at, and vice versa. I wouldn't enjoy something if I was bad at it, not for long. And I wouldn't do something, even if I was good at it, that I didn't enjoy. See what I mean? But I know that a lot of people aren't lunatics like Paris Hilton and I get that. You're on, if there's a Paris Hilton scale of lunacy, you're just not even on it. And I'm like all the way at one end. I want that for you. I want that for you. So ask yourself, just because you're good at something, do you like it? What do you like that you are good at? Because listen, girl, listen, you do got to be good at it. You do got to be good at it. I see people trying to be an influencer. Well, I just love fashion. Well, you're not very good at it. So you're just very run of the mill, very basic. I wouldn't say you're doing anything particularly noteworthy. Are you good at something and you like it? What is that thing? And how does that align with where you're at? Because listen, you might run through these questions and be like, it's actually maybe telling me to stay where I am in my career because I can't think of something that I want to do more. And that's okay. That's data. And maybe in a few years, the answers are going to change. I'm not saying you should throw the baby out with the bathwater and quit your career just because you get a bee in your bonnet. Let me run through these questions and we're going to talk about when you should quit your career. Okay, number 3. Get some data from people who are actually in this other career you're thinking of. Talk to other influencers. Talk to graphic designers. Talk to pastry chefs. What are the ups and downs? What are things they didn't expect? How long did it take them to get there? Are they happy there? If they could start their career over, would they have chosen this path? And not to say that like, well, 60% of pastry chefs wouldn't do it again, so no one should be a pastry chef. No, it doesn't mean that. It just means maybe that wasn't the path for them. And maybe ask them, well, what did lead you here? Well, I thought this was going to be a really stable career. Turns out bakeries are very volatile. Maybe you didn't know that. And maybe the reason you're considering pivoting over there is you also think it's going to be stable. And that just might not be the reality. It doesn't mean it's not for you. It's a data gathering thing. Question number 4. What do you want your career to do for you? Now I know the answer might seem simple, and it's funny, my go-to answer, I assume, is everyone's answer, but it might not be, because my go-to answer is make money. But again, I'm like, Shallon, is it really? Why aren't you stripping then? Because you could probably make more. Why aren't you dealing drugs? Is there not a cartel you could be a part of? Like, come on, girl, what are you doing? Clearly, that's not my only motivation. My career personally needs to self-actualize me. What does that mean? That means I believe that I am doing what I was put on this earth to do. For some people, it's not a career at all. For some people, it's having kids, it's working in the forest, it's traveling, I don't know. For me, it is work. It is creation. I am creating things and I'm connecting. I love that. I'm making something, I'm putting it out into this world, people love it, and it enriches their life. And again, some people get that exact itch scratched, that exact trajectory with children. I'm making a child and putting it out in the world, people like it, it's changing the world, this is amazing. I prefer to do it with YouTube videos and keep my nipples right where they are. Thank you. So what do you want your career to do for you? Change the world? Let you create? How can you answer this question? Because this is a tricky question. It's like, well, I mean, all of these things, like I don't want to be poor and creating something, and I don't want to be Patrick Bateman just making money and like have no real sense of creation. This is what I want you to do. Here's a little visualization exercise. Picture your perfect life. Picture your perfect life, okay? Now you're probably picturing nouns, people, places, and things. Cars, sexy hot guys, Italy, sexy bodies, whatever. But I want you to go deeper than that. What are the adjectives associated with that life? I did this exercise myself when I was 22, when I graduated, and I didn't know what to do. I was living at home, washed out of finance, and I was waitressing. I'm like, okay, the next move I make has to be the right one. Okay, I made the wrong one with finance, but I got some data. I know I don't want to work in finance. What do I want? Where do I want to live? And so I pictured my perfect life. And again, I stripped away the nouns. What are the adjectives? I wanted to feel like I was in the center of something exciting. Because I grew up in the suburbs and I just felt like trapped and suffocated. I went to a conservative college in Northern California. I felt trapped and suffocated. I'm like, I want to be where the action is. I want buzzy, cool. I want to be in a cool place. Okay. That cuts out my hometown. That cuts out Kansas. That cuts out the entirety of Canada. I'm sorry, but okay. What else? I want to be somebody. I wanted to have clout, some sort of clout. Okay. So that cuts out jobs like being a school psychologist, which I was considering. I was like, okay, it's not jazzy enough. I'm a douchebag. Okay. This is what douchebags would answer. I want people to be jealous of me. Listen, I was keeping it 100 with myself. I want people to be jealous. When I tell people what I do, they're like, really? Wow. I wanted glamour. So that cut out some other things. I wanted to be creative. That cut out some other things. And slowly but surely, I was shaping this idea of what I wanted. And it was New York City, and it was magazines, the publishing industry, writing. It was that life. What is preventing you from coming up with your police sketch of your perfect life is fear. Fear. Like I said, I didn't have that fear. Again, partly because I'm like a soci and a narcy, but borrow some of that. That is an amazing, yes, borrow some narcissism and sociopathy where you have an absolute blank spot hamster wheel where fear is supposed to be. The fear center of your brain is like, oh, I'm so sorry, we're just like on a break right now. I have a little fear, not really that much. I'm very risky when I'm going for something that I want. I don't like drive fast and jump out of planes, but I do shit like that. I move across the country and I'm like, no, I'm going to get a book deal at 24. Like, it's hard. I'm very Elle Woods. But like, it's hard. I don't know. Harvard Law, is that hard? Borrow some of that. Because again, fear is the thing that is keeping you from looking right at that police sketch. Let me tell you something. It is the exact same amount of energy to run away from your dreams as it is to run towards them. You're running. Why aren't you running towards something that you want? No, Shallon, it's a lot more work. I didn't say it was more work. I said it was more energy. They are actually not the same. Think about how you feel when you're anxious. You're miserable. And don't you feel just exhausted, like kind of wrung out? I do. I've been anxious all day, actually. And I'm just like, ugh, I can barely do anything. But I'm not doing any work. I'm not creating something. It's bad energy expenditure, not positive energy expenditure. The exhausted that I am after a day of worrying and spiraling and being anxious could not be more different than the exhausted I am from creating and taking my business meetings and talking to people and connecting and working out. Could not be more different. One is positive work and one is negative. So you're going to end up tired either way. You want to be bad tired or do you want to be good tired? By and large, the number one thing people say on their deathbed is they regretted the dreams they didn't go for. And it's not even close. Whether that's a person, a better relationship, getting out of a bad marriage, a career, it doesn't matter. People regret what they don't do. Because even if you go for something and it fails, what did Nelson Mandela say? What do we go back to? I never lose. I win or I learn. At least you've learned. At least you're like, opening a bakery is actually a pile of shit. I don't like this at all. But you know, and then that dream isn't festering and you are not applying this increasingly flowery and loud story that the reason you never opened a bakery is because you're a chicken shit. You know, I could never do it, or my family would never approve, or my wife wouldn't let me. You just know. And you are no longer directing all of this venom at other people and at yourself. You have some data. So cowboy the fuck up and decide what you want. I'm not saying you have to go for it right away. We're going to talk about that when we talk about when to go for your dream career. Hold on, when to pivot. We got more questions. Last but not least, is there a way that you can import the feelings that this career is supposed to give you? Because remember, we've broken all those down. Is there a way you can import eyedropperfuls of those feelings, maybe more, into your life right now without pivoting your career? Say you want to do something creative. And I see this so much. People are in stable jobs that are fulfilling to them, but they're like, but I want to be creative. I'm going to quit my job and be an actor. I'm like, oh Christ, don't do that. Before you do that, maybe do some community plays. And it turns out, rehearsing 5 nights a week sucks and I don't want to sing this song again. Maybe you can scratch that itch without incinerating your life. Maybe you can, maybe not. Maybe you're like, oh no, I want this. Again, it's data. And I know I started this video saying like, hey, I've just kind of jumped into the deep end. That isn't exactly true. On the surface, that's how it looks. On paper, it looks like I just made a snap decision overnight. It's like when you see country artists, or not even country artists, but musicians, and it's like, oh, they're an overnight sensation. And the artist is like, all right, man. It's like you didn't see the mixtapes. You didn't see the shows that no one was at. You didn't see the SoundCloud editing. You didn't see any of this. You just saw that one hit that popped and suddenly you're Jack Harlow. Suddenly you're Lotto. Suddenly you're whoever. You don't see the iceberg. You just see the tip. Yeah, I moved to New York at 23. I didn't know one person. And I was like, I'm going to write a book. I had been writing. I was writing for the school paper. I had my own column in college. I was writing for free for a ton of different websites to build on my portfolio. I had a blog that I wrote religiously, and I got my TV show based on my blog. So people saw the end product. Oh my God, how'd she get a book deal? You haven't seen all that I've done. So what I was doing is creating systems and rhythms for myself and grit and stamina and a work ethic. So that when it came time to present myself for these job opportunities, an editor position, a book deal, I was like, no. I am actually not just hatching out of an egg like a baby bird. I can show you my history as much as it possibly could be in this industry. I can show you why I can work for this magazine, why I can write a book in 6 weeks, which I did. I did it twice. I can show you. But people just focused on what they saw. And that's okay. That's just human nature. But I knew that there was a lot behind it. Same with being a YouTuber. People think like, people in publishing, they were like, oh, Shallon left Star. And then within 2 months, she's making more on YouTube. Like, I didn't start YouTube the day I left Star. I'd had this channel for years and I was working on it. And finally, when I had the space to put all of my energy towards it, boom, it took off. My point is, if you want to pivot careers, amazing. You have my blessing. Do you have my blessing to absolutely just quit your job today with no savings, no plan, no path forward, and very little data and start this new career? Fuck no, you don't. No, you don't. I mean, unless you have a trust fund. If you have a trust fund, do whatever you want. But let me caution you. One of my best friends in high school, not one of, my actual best friend in high school, Erica. Yeah, that's her real name because she's a bitch, because she slept with my boyfriend. And I lost my virginity to him. They slept together when we were like 24. She's a bitch forever and I hate her. She went to like sports journalism grad school at USC. She was so good at it. She was beautiful. She could have been the next Erin Andrews. She decided to pivot, literally quit everything, fuck her degree, nobody cares, when she was like 26 and become a stand-up comedian. She wanted to be a comedy writer for Saturday Night Live. Why? Because one of our best friends did become a comedy writer for Saturday Night Live. And it pissed us off because we're like, Erica, you have literally watched Nassim hustle and grind and be up late writing sketches and doing improv and working at restaurants. And you have watched this hustle. You know she's not an overnight success, but you are for some reason only latching onto her success. I mean, like, oh, I can do it. Like, it's hard. Yes, bitch, it is. Because you have no skill set here. She's also not funny at all. Like, literally never at all. Never at all. Not one time in her life has she made me laugh. Except when she said she couldn't resist my ex-boyfriend, who is bald and short. LOL. He's resistible. Anyway. She did have a trust fund. And guess what she did? She burned through it. And now she is quite old. She's my age. I'm 1,000 years old. Still trying to make fetch happen. And it's like, it is over. It's over. It had never begun, but it's just completely over. This is embarrassing. It's never going to happen. Because she had no plan. She had no talent. She takes no feedback. It's a clown show. And I'm not saying that to dissuade you from going after something new, but I do think that like you should give it an amount of time. You know, if you really hit it hard, opening a bakery, look at the data. How long does it say it takes for a new business, a new restaurant to be profitable where you live? There's data about that. Is it 3 years? Give it 3 years. Give it 3.5 years. Really put your all into it. And if it's like, this just isn't working, pack it up and move on. Okay. And again, at least you know, girl, that's okay. So how do you know when you should leave a career? Well, if you've gone through these things, these questions and answered them and you're like, okay, what I want is not what I'm getting. And it's not just, well, this particular company, it's my industry, it's my position, I don't like this. I don't like any of this. Okay. What do you want to do? Have you decided that? And then I don't want you to let go of one branch until you get a grip on the next. And again, unless you have a trust fund, but listen, I go back to Erica. She had a trust fund. It was a disaster. Money doesn't guarantee success. It guarantees like maybe a softer landing if you fail. And it'll get you a little bit of a leg up. Like it has allowed her to not really work and try this comedy thing. But nobody, when she walks into an audition, is like, oh, you have a trust fund? Oh, well, you're not funny and you can't write, but come on in. Nobody's like, that's not how that works. That's not how that works. It will cushion the blows, but that's kind of it. So I want you, you're not going to like this. You're not going to love this advice. You can pivot from one career to the next, but you're going to basically have to do both for a while until the second one becomes profitable or the time is right to really move into it. That's what I did. And I remember it was my ex-boyfriend, Max, who sat me down when we lived in New York because I was like, being a YouTuber is the big dream. And he's like, is it? Is it really? Because that's funny. You go out every night to industry events instead of coming home and working on your channel. So try to sell me on this idea again that you really want to be a YouTuber. He drugged my ass to hell and back. I mean, in so many ways. But he was right. He's like, I want you to come home exhausted. I want you to be exhausted at the end of the night because you have been working on your channel, not because you've been at some bullshit party drinking Veuve Clicquot and getting gift bags. Enough. And that made all the difference. I kicked and I screamed at first because I'm like, I work hard all day. And you're telling me I have to come home and clock into this whole other job? He's like, yeah, that's how it works. As a matter of fact, that's exactly what you have to do. When you see people who have pivoted careers, that's what they're doing. They're not out at parties. They're coming home and they're sitting down and they're working on their second career. Or they've been at the office all day. They come home, they sit down and study for that MBA. Or they come home and they sit down and they parent. Or they hit the gym to be in that fitness competition. That's what they're doing. You are underestimating how hard successful people are working. He was right. He was right. And I look at my friends who have side hustles, and I can tell you just from one glance who's going to make it, who's not. That's a cute little hobby. Adorable. That's a nice little thing to do instead of binging Housewives every night and drinking. Great. Good for you. It's never going to be your full-time job because I can see your work ethic and I can see the absence of it. I can see what you're doing. I can also see what you're not doing. I can see the excuses you're making for yourself. I can see the slack you're cutting yourself, okay? And you will sooner or later give that up. Did you know that Bozeman, Montana is the #1 city in the country for entrepreneurs? Do you know why? Because every idiot here has a side hustle. Every idiot. Well, I do this, but I also do real estate, but I also am opening up an IV therapy room. I have a makeup studio. I'm an esthetician. Sure you are. What you're actually doing is nothing correctly. You don't have 2 thriving careers. You have 2 flaccid ones. You don't even have one big great one and a little kind of bullshit thing on the side. You have 2 shitty ones. It's not 100-100. It's 50-50. Nah, not good. It needs to be 100-75. And then that tipping point is going to occur. Or, great, I want you to do the bare fucking minimum at your corporate job. I want you to phone it in so that when that 5 o'clock hits, you come home and you're like, Etsy till I die. Like, you come home and you focus. You work. Is this fair? Who said anything about fair? Do you remember a few minutes ago when I was telling you about all the ruthless things that I've done in my career to get ahead? Everyone looked at me like, that's not fair. I was like, who the fuck? What are you, a child? Fair? I don't care about fair. I care about winning at any cost. And I hate to tell you, there are no rules for the games that I play. There are no rules for successful, rich people. There aren't. And if there are rules, we blow right past them. All those rules do is help us manipulate people who are susceptible to following rules. Oh, now I know what that person doesn't want to do. Now I know the boundary they don't want to cross. I don't have that weighing on me. So I am going to be like, well, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. Well, meanwhile, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'll bypass who I need to. I'll leapfrog over whatever I have to. I'll do what it takes to win. Sorry, it's business. I got plenty of friends. So I want that to be your attitude. I want you to be ruthless with others, but first and foremost, I want you to be ruthless with yourself. Because when I started doing that after Max drugged me to hell, because I was already plenty ruthless in magazines. That was literally my reputation around town, which is why I put it on a necklace. When I finally was woman enough to be like, really easy for you to be a huge bitch to everyone but yourself, you little hypocrite. That's when things changed. That's when things took off. That's when things took off. So I want you to look at your side hustle as absolutely non-negotiable. I don't want you to call it a side hustle. I want you to call it my next job. My other shift is starting. I have 2 jobs. I want you to treat it with the same gravity and immovability that you do your regular job. Oh no, I can't just not show up. It's my other job. Even though it's located in your bedroom and you can sit in bed and do it, you show up, you clock in, you work. If you want to get out of where you're at, that's the way you do it. It isn't easy. Who on earth told you it was going to be? If it was easy, everyone would do it. Everyone would be a YouTuber. Everyone would be an architect. Everyone would be president. Everyone would be fit. Everyone would be in amazing relationships. Everyone would have great friends. Anything worth doing is going to be hard. That's the point. So get it out of your mind that it's going to be fair, that it's going to be easy. The pigeons, let them think that. Great. Have fun with your little pigeon life. Have fun with where you're at. And I love people who love their career. I love that. It makes me sad when people are like, oh, I have a side hustle. I'm like, oh, that tells me you don't really like what you're doing, you know? And that sucks. Or you do like what you're doing, but you don't know how to make money for you. You don't know how to ruthlessly negotiate a contract. You don't know how to put up some boundaries at work. You don't know how to seize power. I can tell you, but I know you're not going to do it. So, okay, if working for yourself is going to allow you to bypass those sociopathic systems that do make people successful in business, that's fine. But put that energy into it. Put that energy into it, girl. Tell me what you think. Are you stuck in a career and you're like, there's something else I really, really want to be doing? Are you actually really happy in your career? What is, if you do have a side hustle, what is it? Am I resonating a little bit? Am I giving you the ass whooping that Max gave to me once upon a time? And you're like, no, I need to work harder. How can you build these systems into your life to put more energy towards your side hustle so you can get it to be the main hustle? Life is long. Life is too short, but life is also too long when you're in the wrong career. Just go for your dream, girl. Go confidently in the direction of your dreams. Live the life you've imagined. Tell me what you guys have to say. Where are you at in your career right now? And what do you think about Kendall making the 30 under 30? Are you like proud of her, or are you like baloney? What should Courtney's career be? Speaking of baloney. All right, alligators, I'm gonna see you guys tomorrow for a video on Taylor Swift moving in with Travis Kelce. How do you know when the time is right to cohabitate and how to do it so that it brings you closer together and not further apart? I'll see you later, alligators.